Found out my husband was having an affair just after he died. Plus update. Original post. My husband died 2 years ago. After he passed, the first secret of his that I discovered was tons of money that he had been siphoning from his salary over the years, secretly keeping for himself. Then I started uncovering his seedy secret life. Tons of porn, search history on computer, videos on YouTube that made no sense for a married man to be watching, like 11 body language signs she's into you. I discovered on his Instagram some waitresses at Hooters he was messaging with. I got a hold of one of them and she confirmed that they had been very friendly and got together one time on one of her days off. They went for coffee and they only made out. She said of course she didn't know he was married and nothing else happened as she realized that he was much older than her. She was 23 at the time and he was 50. That's just the beginning. He had a couple of emotional affairs. Then there were girls in 12-step program that he acted inappropriate with, sending sexually suggestive emojis to and giving them rides to meetings, and just being creepy. The last straw is there was a phone number in his phone records that he was making calls to multiple times a day over about 8 months. Calls late at night, during the day, calls that would be an hour or more long. I finally found the person, a girl that was around 25 years younger than him. When they met at Starbucks, she was 22 and he was 47. She said it just started out as becoming friends and they would text and speak every day. He bought her jewelry and took her out sometimes to expensive dinners. She said that they had sex for the first time in a hotel. She still lived with her parents, so they couldn't go there for sex. It went on for a handful of months until he finally admitted that he was married. She wanted to be with him. She wanted him to leave his wife for her. When she realized that he was stringing her along and that he wasn't leaving his wife, she broke it off. Timing is everything because shortly after that he got very sick and needed a lung transplant. So naturally he needed his wife and I was there for him. I believe after his transplant, in the few years before he ended up dying from cancer, he started having random hookups. I'm not as gutted as I thought I'd be. I guess because I know he was a horrible, disgusting narcissist. But how do I not feel down on myself? I'm a middle-aged woman and he was having an affair with someone else who was almost 30 years younger than me. The ruminating is the worst. How do you deal with that? Now for the comments before reading the update. What the F am I doing? I'm so sorry that you have to go through this. Therapy would be a good start. I think honestly, I'm kind of speechless to have him die and then discover a whole other life that's effed up. Big hugs, and I hope that you can find a way through this. OP says, thank you, it's trauma, but I refuse to let him ruin my life. I have had some really bad days, but some are really good. Trying to work through it all. Had a therapist for a while and it definitely helped. I'm in a couple of groups with people in similar situations, and that certainly helps. Life is too short, and I hopefully will still have a lot of life to live. Not going to let him take any more from me. His punishment is this, how he will always be remembered. For eternity by his wife, gifts, jewelry, dinners, cash, and nice hotels. The only reason a 20-something woman would bother with a 47-plus-year-old man. He 100% knew that, and that's why he bought her jewelry. OP says, yes, that, and how it must have made his head swell. I'm sure he walked around thinking he was hot shit. He probably was itching to come clean to me many times, just to rub it in my face and make me jealous. At the end of the day, it's all really about how small and shitty these people actually feel deep down about themselves. I'm sorry, OP, I can't imagine what it's like finding out after they had passed. Are you in counseling? It would be incredibly helpful for you. Yes, I was in therapy for a while. It helped me get over the hump, but after a while I felt I hit a brick wall. I found a group for victims and survivors of narcissistic abuse. My husband was so much more than just a cheater. Had he ever been to a psychiatrist, I'm sure he would have been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. He was a pathological liar, and I thought after he got sober, about 12 years before he died, that he would be a whole different person. I thought he'd be honest and trustworthy, and because he was so good at deceit and manipulation, he convinced me that he had changed for the better. I see now that he may have never drank again, but he was truly sober because he was living a double life, cheating on me, hiding money, gaslighting me, emotionally abusing me. Those aren't the actions of someone living a clean, sober life. I know there are many people that have had similar experiences. Your spouse dies, and only then you start to discover their secrets and leave you gutted. Not only are you mourning their death, but you're thrown into chaos and you question reality. You've lost what you thought was your reality. I'm definitely on the road to recovery, trying to look forward and planning the life that I want and deserve. Now for the update. It's been nearly 8 months since my husband, 56, died of cancer, and I found out about his affair 4 days later when I checked his phone and then his laptop. I had to delete my original post. I had accidentally given out too much personal information, but I wanted to offer an update on how I've managed to get through it. How do you get over this much hurt when you can never get any closure or any answers from the person that you loved? As a bit of backstory, we were together for 30 years, and he would tell me how much he loved me almost every day. We were always a close, snuggly couple until 2019. At that time, he was traveling abroad a lot for work. I'd recently lost my dad and was going through the menopause, so my libido was a little bit lower than normal and I wasn't sleeping well. We were both a bit stressed and tired by that stage. He was more unwell than either of us realized. I noticed he was suddenly on his phone constantly. He was distracted, distant, and snappy with me in a way he'd never been before. All the signs were there, but I just couldn't believe it was true, as there was no reason for it. I challenged him about it, and he told me he'd met a woman on a flight home, and they'd stayed in touch, but just as friends. She lived abroad, but was somewhere where he'd often went for work. I told him I was uncomfortable with that level of communication and expected him to tone it down. I later asked him outright if he was having an affair with her, but he denied it, and I really wanted to believe him. Then he was diagnosed with cancer and died 5 months later. After he died, I found out he was having an affair for about a year, maybe more. I nearly went under. I only got through his funeral by saying goodbye to the boy I married, not the guy he turned into. The picture on his coffin was one from years ago, not recent. The funeral was only 10 people because of COVID, and I told all of them the truth beforehand, including our 2 adult sons, because I couldn't have gone through it otherwise. Then I had 3 sessions with a therapist. I needed help with the devastating lack of closure. I would never know why he did that to me, what it meant, or what was he planning to do. The therapist asked if I could normally trust my instincts. I said yes. He said if my instinct was that everything was okay before 2019, then it probably was. I know many of us have no idea about our partner's affairs, so I'm not sure if he's right, but it brought me some peace, so I'm choosing to believe that. I found that every time that I've gotten mad or cried and screamed at my dead husband, I've always felt better afterwards, as I've moved on a step. I've written him letters and left them lying around in case he could read them. Stupid, I know, but it's been cathartic. I've done a lot of soul searching too. I can never forgive him, and I didn't deserve what he did to me. I never ever stopped trying in our marriage, but I acknowledge that we weren't making enough time for each other. We'd stopped having date nights. We both had busy careers and we were tired and stressed. When he got stressed, he would use sex as a way to calm down, and at that time I hadn't really been feeling it that much. That's absolutely no excuse for what he did. I believe it's the reason he started looking somewhere else. So 8 months later, I have mostly good days and a few bad nights. I'm more disappointed in him than angry now. I miss his presence in the house, but I feel like I'm growing into the space too. My kids are doing well. It kills me that I'll never know if he still loved me when he died, but I think he did. I never confronted his affair partner. My revenge has been her lack of closure. My ultimate satisfaction was knowing that she would have found the tribute website we set up and would have seen 30 years of happy family photos. She tried to steal my life and failed. I was the one who was with him when he died, not her. Maybe I'm hating him less because he was so ill at the time he did it. I even wonder if that explains his personality change. I guess I'm lucky not to have gone through a divorce or having to see him move on with someone else. Today is the anniversary of the last time I think he saw her. That's a big milestone I've been waiting to cross off my list. Story 2. I'm sitting out in front of AP's house to confront him, plus update. Original post. I'm confronting my wife's affair partner today. I caught them and confronted her about the affair 3 months ago. She apologized profusely and told me she still wanted to be with me, wanted to save her marriage, counseling, etc. We've been in couples and individual counseling. She's outwardly told me all the right things. She loves me and only me, wants to fix things, doesn't want a divorce, etc. She gave me access to her phone but told me she doesn't want to catch me sneakingly going through it. She swears up and down that she's on the straight and narrow to repairing our broken trust, except she is still seeing him. I found out and kept it to myself. I plan to serve her divorce papers tomorrow, but first I'm going to confront her affair partner to see what other lies she's been telling me. I know they've talked on the phone a dozen times since I found out and told her that she had to go no contact. She swears she hasn't been in contact with him, but the phone records don't lie. They text almost every day. She's obviously deleted them from her phone because I haven't seen them there, but she doesn't know deleting them on her phone doesn't delete them from her iPad. So at the moment, I'm sitting in the car outside of his house waiting for him or his wife to leave for work. If he leaves, I'm going to follow him to where he works and confront him there. If she leaves first, I'm going to knock on his door. Wish me luck, Reddit. Now for the update. So it's done. I'm an emotional mess. I knew that the community here at our Surviving Infidelity would need an update, so I'm here to deliver. I'll start with last night. I got home from work, made dinner, and sat down to eat. My wife asked me how my day was. I replied, uneventful. That was the extent of it. We ate, played with the kids, put them to bed like everything was normal. She and I sat down in her bedroom to watch TV and she said nothing for like 2 hours. Finally, after the shows were over, she spoke. I'm going to bed. And that was it. No confrontation, no discussion, nothing. She went to bed and I stayed up playing video games for another couple of hours before I went to bed myself. I slept like shit and finally woke up at 5 a.m. The reason I wanted to serve her today was that we had a marriage counseling session over the lunch hour. I had already read our therapist in on what I intended to do, so when we sat down and started the session, I didn't wait. Me. I talked to the affair partner yesterday. Yeah, I talked to him too. Me. Yeah, I know. I don't get it. Why would you go talk to him? Me, because I needed answers to some questions I had, and you weren't being honest with me. Oh yeah? Well, what did he tell you? Me, honey, he sold you down the river. What does that mean? Me, he told me everything about what you guys have been doing. The sneaking around, the secret meetings, the lovey-dovey phone calls, everything. Shocked. He told you? Me, yeah, everything. I then went on to list out all the details I already knew of their texts, calls, meetings, dates, times, etc. She started to bawl. Me. So it's clear to me that while you've been in here telling me one thing, your actions tell a completely different story, so I'm done. What do you mean you're done? Me. Hands her divorce papers. I want a divorce. She took the paperwork in her hands like it was a venomous snake and stared at it. She then looked to the therapist for help. How do I fix this? I don't want a divorce. I want you. I want her life. I want to stay. Therapist, do you see where confronting the affair partner is coming from? When your words and your actions are telling conflicting stories, you always believe the actions, not the words? Me. Your actions have told me all I need to know. How do we move forward from here without fighting, without vitriol, without dragging our children through the mud? The rest of the session was surprisingly cordial. There were a lot of tears on both sides. I expressed how betrayed and angry I am that she would continue this affair behind my back, thinking of me as the lovable idiot who would never know. She cried because her entire life as she knows it is ending. I told her I cut off her money supply, that she can use half of what we have to hire a divorce attorney. I told her she cannot live in our home anymore. She will need to go stay with family and friends. I told her I was done and that there is no chance for reconciliation. She cried more. When we walked out of the appointment, she grabbed my hand and made another last-ditch effort to garner my forgiveness. I pulled my hand away and told her in no uncertain terms that was done, and I did not want her in my life anymore. She fell to the ground sobbing. I walked out the door and left her like that. As I drove away from the therapist's office, I called the affair partner's wife and left her a voicemail saying, "I really need to speak with you. Please give me a call back ASAP." I then called my attorney and told her to file the paperwork, but to hold on to the TRO unless things got ugly. My wife called and texted me several times after I left. I let them go to voicemail and haven't listened to them yet. I felt dead inside as I drove to her parents' house. Before I walked in, my phone rang. It was the affair partner's wife, calling me back. He hadn't said anything to her. I told her that I needed to meet with her in person. Could I meet up with her in an hour? She said yes, and we set a place and time. I walked into her parents' house and told them everything. Her mom started to bawl immediately. Her dad sat there stone-faced. I told them that I love her and I tried to make it work, but that I refused to stand there while she continued to cheat on me behind my back. They were so totally shaken that it was hard to gauge their feelings. I told them that I wouldn't slander her or spread the truth around her friends and family, but that they needed to know the truth about why we are divorcing. I told them that I don't expect them to support me in all of this, and frankly, I want them to support her because she's going to need it. This all goes back to my kids if she cannot afford a decent place to live. I don't want my kids living in squalor during the time they spend with her. Her parents can and will support her financially. I told them that I love them and that I would miss our relationship. Her dad and I shook hands and I hugged her mom before I left. Then I drove to the meeting place to meet the affair partner's wife. I'm sitting in the car right now waiting for her to show up. I plan to tell her, show her the video if need be, and let her make the decision on how to proceed from there. If she needs me to be a source of emotional support, I will offer that. No one should have to suffer through this alone. So that's my day. I still have to meet with the affair partner's wife, pick up my kids from school, and change the locks on my house. I have a security system set up at home, so if she chooses to steal or damage anything, it will be on video. She knows that too, so I'm not too worried about it. More to come. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.